So we are continuing this morning with our hearing of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And yesterday we concluded with this point that as long as one is still attracted to the ideals of this material plane, then they are still obliged to strictly follow a regulated practicing life, you can say. Here it is more directly speaking about the traditional varnashram system within India, but it is also a broader principle which is discussed in other places, in regards to vidhi and rag, right? The vidhi marg and raga marg. So there's one statement in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu which Srila Sridhar Maharaj quotes in one place, saying, how does it begin? I can't remember the Sanskrit, but saying that as long as rag, as long as like natural attraction within the heart has not arisen within someone, then they are obliged to follow vidhi marg, or some degree, of course. We're not following 100% vidhi, but we're following some elements of vidhi marg. Vidhi marg is like a cover to raga marg. Gurudev, he rendered it once as we're following raga marg hidden inside of vidhi marg. So, yeah. And the way that he distinguished it was that rag is more about the natural attraction and having understanding of the deeper principles behind, our service, life, and worship, whereas vidhi is fixed very much on the external, the rulings of the scriptures. So following like by the letter of the law, and following the spirit of the law. These two things. So we are following we're not just trusting on our natural inclination to serve Krishna, because it's not so reliable right now. So therefore we have we have particular rulings that we try to follow and regulations. So as long as one is still in some kind of contaminated condition, then it's necessary to follow these things. But once the heart has been purified and once natural attraction has awakened, then they can be dispensed with. And we can also add a word of caution there, that it won't be that someone will be eager to dispense with that. It will be a forceful, irresistible pull. It's not that one will one day decide, oh, well, I think now I don't need to follow all these things anymore. Now I'm qualified. It will be something very automatic. You won't be able to check it. Gurudev was chanting in his last days that verse of Madhavendra Puri, where he's expressing an apology. Please forgive me. My ancestors, the devas, my morning, noon, and evening prayers. Please forgive me, because I can no longer follow all of these rulings that are expected of me in connection with you. But I feel like I can get everything through the service of Lord Govinda. I want to follow them, but I'm being pulled in another direction. So please forgive me. Okay. We'll continue here with Mahaprabhu's instructions to Sanatana Goswami. And now this is a very famous verse, which everybody knows. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe Sujita Nishchoy Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. You know that verse, right? Shraddha is confident, firm faith that by rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. So a very famous definition of faith here. What is faith? What is Shraddha? It is the firm conviction that by serving Krishna, all duties will be fulfilled. By observing this central duty, all subsidiary duties, they will be satisfied. And, because in a Western context, this may not, of course it has some level of meaning, but for someone who's familiar with or involved with the Vedic culture, this is something very significant, because duty is all in all. Duty is the Vedic system is basically founded upon this concept of duty, isn't it? This is what karma yoga is. This is what the varnashram system is based on. Following your duty, trying to live a dutiful life. So to be told that if you serve Krishna, then that is covering all duties, and it's okay to neglect particular duties you may have to your family, to your ancestors, to society. That's a big statement to make, because it's mentioned. Is it like 4 debts, something like that? 4 debts every living being is born with. Debts to their ancestors, debts to the devas, debts to the sages, and then there's particular ways. Just by being born and availing oneself of the resources of this world, then you have this automatic debt, So the varnashram system is actually very beautiful. It's a very harmonious way of living in the world. However, if one wants to give attention to their, to a higher connection with the Lord, then, because He is the source of all, because He's the source of all the power that has been invested in all of these other entities, then any debt you owe to them, it becomes nullified, because you're serving that central entity. So this is the definition of faith, to have real conviction in that. So that's kind of more relevant in a Vedic context. But another way we can understand this, and Gurudev has discussed it in this way, this idea is that whatever we may desire, this will catch people's attentions more. Whatever desire we may have, whatever hankering we have for fulfillment, for joy, that will be fulfilled in connection with Krishna to the utmost, So whatever we're searching after in this world in a scattered way for various types of pleasures, you'll get. Who is Krishna? Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti. He is the embodiment of all rasa. He is the personification of all rasa. So what are you looking for? You're looking for rasa, basically. You're looking for that ecstatic fulfillment of the heart. But you will get all of that and much, much, much more in connection with Krishna. So that is also Shraddha. You have that kind of faith. Whatever we're seeking after, whatever we're hankering after, desiring in this world, it can all be met in connection with Krishna. And now this is another famous verse. This is from Bhagavatam. Yatha tador mulani Ch.Ch tripyanti tat skanda bhujo Vishakha pranapaharag cha yatenjiyanam tataiva sarvarhanam achute cha. By pouring water on the root of a tree, one automatically satisfies the trunk, branches, and twigs. Similarly, by supplying food to the stomach, where it nourishes the life air, one satisfies all the senses. In the same way, by worshipping Krishna, and rendering him service, one automatically satisfies all the demigods. Shadavanjan hoy bhakti adi kadi. And this verse, this one often quoted by our gurus, and it's very helpful, very helpful. It is a very helpful analogy that we can all understand. You put your water at the root of the tree, and the whole tree is nourished. So you give your energy to Krishna, and everything is satisfied. All our duties are fulfilled. Shadavanjan hoy bhakti adi kadi, uttam madhyam kanishta shraddhanusadi. A faithful devotee is a truly eligible candidate for the loving service of the Lord. According to one's faith, one is classified as a topmost devotee, an intermediate devotee, or an inferior devotee. Purport. The word Shraddhavan, faithful, means understanding Krishna to be the summum bonum, the eternal truth and absolute transcendence. If one has full faith in Krishna and confidence in him, one becomes eligible to discharge devotional service confidentially. According to one's faith, one is a topmost, intermediate, or inferior devotee. Shastra yukte sunipuna jidda shadadjar uttamadhikari se taroye samsar. And this is something that I think about sometimes because we saw with Gurudev that he, it was something that we marked in connection with Gurudev, like in his assessment of devotees. He wasn't looking so much at their external appearance, He was looking at, or how well they're able to follow their practicing life. But he was looking at their faith, And that's something that wouldn't necessarily be evident to persons like ourselves. It could be someone very eccentric, it could be someone who is misbehaved, could be someone who appears, just not like someone you like to go sit next to, or but he was looking at something deeper. And then on the other hand, the persons who were doing everything perfectly, they weren't necessarily the ones who were getting, his full mercy. So it was something quite, we were talking about this, I think a month or two ago. It's actually something very, it would really make you think, what was his degree of measurement? It's not something really we can really understand. It's a different way of seeing the world and seeing people. Like no measurement drawn, no calculation drawn from this plane. He was seeing in a completely different way. If I think of some of the people who he gave so much affection to, so much mercy to, some of them were the kind of people that general society would normally neglect or think badly of, or would be very judgmental of. They would be disqualified according to many material ways of measurement. But he was seeing in a completely different way. His analysis was in a completely different way. He was looking at their faith. That is what determines devotion, the degree of one's faith. Gurudev made that comment about Nityananda Prabhu, that Nityananda Prabhu would look at a person's faith. That's the mood of Nityananda Prabhu. He would look at a person's faith. That is how he would value them. And he also said about Nityananda Prabhu, and if someone didn't have faith, then he would give them faith. And that's another point, like to be in a kind of empty position, to be able to receive. Because that was another thing I felt with Gurudev, like he was looking for, it was also something he talked about. He talked about the necessity of being a proper receiver. Someone may not have so much in terms of devotion or faith, but they also didn't have like so many like barricades around them. Because you meet those kind of practitioners, they have a very strong ego about like how they're practicing devotion, and they have very fixed ideas in devotion. And so they're meeting with Gurudev, but they don't have that openness, that receptivity to receive a deeper conception. So I also felt that with Gurudev, like he had some special appreciation for like very like simple-hearted devotees, simple-hearted, open-hearted devotees who he could give something to, who were, like something like tabula rasa, like there's a blank slate, and he can do something, he can draw something there, But if someone's coming with their whiteboard already full, then he can't give anything there. So that was also something I felt with him, just to be in kind of a have that degree of emptiness and receptivity, and that would attract his attention. And I felt sometimes like very new persons, he would be more interested in than in like very mature, like senior devotees, like he was seeing this freshness and this emptiness, and this is all my own subjective observation, but it makes sense, that he could get, they could get his special mercy. And sometimes we saw like older devotees, they could get a little envious. Because some new, like very unqualified person is there and getting this like special attention from Gurudev. And I could understand why. I could see like this innocence about them, this spiritual purity, maybe not material purity, but this spiritual innocence and purity about them. Because it's, when this is a challenge of continuing to practice for a long time, because one can get very fixed in their ideas, and their practicing life can become something quite external, actually. And losing that vital essence, that freshness, it can become a little mechanical. So, it's very healthy when there are, newcomers who can, like, kind of remind us of that initial enthusiasm and passion that we have, give some injection. Okay. Shastra-yukte sunipunji dashadadjar utamadikari se tadaye samsar. One who is expert in logic, argument, and the revealed scriptures, and who has firm faith in Krishna, is classified as a topmost devotee. He can deliver the whole world. Quotation, Shastra from Bhakti, well, it's in Bhakti Rasamrita, isn't it? Shastra yukto cha nipuna sarvata dridanishchaya proda shaddo dikadiya sabhakta utamo mata. One who is expert in logic and in understanding the revealed scriptures, and who always has firm conviction and deep faith that is not blind, is to be considered a topmost devotee in devotional service. Shastra Yukti Nahi Jane Jidda Shadavan Madhyamadikari se Mahabhagyavan. One who is not very expert in argument and logic based on the revealed scriptures, but who has firm faith, is considered a second-class devotee. He also must be considered most fortunate. Quotation. Ya Shastra Dishra Nipuna Shadavan Satu Madhyama. He who does not know scriptural argument very well, but who has firm faith, is called an intermediate or second-class devotee. Jahar Kamala Shadda Se Kanishta Jan Krame Krame Teho Bhakta Hoibe Utam. One whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of a first-class devotee. So Kamala Shraddha means soft faith. And then Dridha Shraddha is firm faith. Quotation, Yo bhavet kamala shraddha sakanishto nigadyate. One whose faith is not very strong, who is just beginning, should be considered a neophyte devotee. Nati prem taratam ye bhakta taratam ekadasha skandeta kodiyache lakan. The devotee is considered superlative or superior. Is a superlative, do you pronounce that? A devotee is considered superlative or superior according to his attachment and love. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the following symptoms have been given. So Mahaprabhu here is giving different definitions of the different levels of devotees, Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam. And now he's going to quote. These are three famous verses from Bhagavatam, which are often, they're kind of like the primary verses that are used to describe the qualities of the neophyte, the middle, and the higher class devotee. Sarva Bhut, so this verse is describing the Uttam Adhikar Bhakta, the highest level devotee. Sarva Bhuteshu ya pashyad bhagavad bhavam atmana Bhutani bhagavatyatman yesha bhagavatotama. A person advanced in devotional service sees within everything the soul of souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he always sees the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes, and understands that all things are situated in him. So they're seeing Krishna everywhere, they're seeing Krishna's connection everywhere, they're seeing Krishna's interest everywhere, and fully identifying with that. And then this is the second class devotee. Ishvare taradineshu balisheshu dishachu cha prema maitri kripo pekka ya karoti samadhyama. An intermediate, second-class devotee shows love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is friendly to all devotees, and is very merciful to neophytes and ignorant people. The intermediate devotee neglects those who are envious of devotional service. So this is a very helpful verse, We cannot say we are Madhya Madhikar devotees. That is not a light thing. However, we can try to follow the practices of the Madhya Madhikar. It is a helpful model for us, because the model of the highest level devotee is not helpful for us. We will become imitationists if we try to do that. If we see Krishna everywhere, that will be fake. That won't be helpful for us to progress. This is kind of what we were discussing last night, we cannot say, oh, everything that's coming to me is directly Krishna, whatever it is. We have to have some level of discrimination. We cannot say that everyone who's coming to us is always acting in Krishna's interest. We have to have some discrimination. Otherwise, we'll go down the path to hell eventually. So we cannot imitate that. We cannot imitate the Uttamadikar Vaishnava. And in fact, we are told that the Uttamadikar Bhakta, in order to act as a guru, if they have to take the role of guru, they have to descend to the Madhyamadikar position. Because in the Uttamadikar position, you're not seeing anything wrong. So you cannot instruct anybody. You won't see anything wrong in anyone. So they have to actually descend to the Madhyam position in order to give instruction. So it is necessary, if we are trying to navigate this world in the interest of devotion, then it's necessary to have some discrimination. So therefore, this model that is being described here is very helpful for us to try to follow. To have love for the Lord, prema, these 4 different reactions are described here. Prema, maitri, kripa, upeka. Prema is love. So prema for Ishvar, prema for the Lord, love for the Lord. Maitri, friendship for other devotees. Kripa, mercy for ignorant persons. Persons who have less understanding than ourselves, but who are open, who are receptive to developing more. We will be merciful. We'll try to help them. Try to help persons who are in need. And then upeka, indifference towards those who are inimical. If someone is anti or unfriendly, we will simply be indifferent. We won't go chasing after them, trying to convert them, and we also won't become, critical and anti to them either. We will simply be indifferent. So that is also very helpful instruction, because sometimes we have this idea that we have to save the world, we have to save everybody, even if they don't want to be saved. Or we may go to places which are very unfavorable, thinking that we can conquer over that. Like somebody may go to a bar, want to preach there, or some type of unfavorable environment. You yourself will become converted, Or like we've seen persons who, this is one very sad case. One of our friends, they entered into an extended debate that went on for 2 years with someone who was against our devotees and was actively disturbing the devotees and trying to disturb their faith. And then one of our devotees unfortunately decided that it was their responsibility to debate with this person. And the debate went on for 2 years. And then eventually they were disturbed, they lost their faith. Because if you're not on a high platform, then to directly contact, something or someone who is inimical, then you yourself will lose your own faith. So, if you're Nityananda Prabhu, then you can go running after, because people will give the example of Jagai and Madhya, right? Like, okay, well, are you Nityananda Prabhu? If you're Nityananda Prabhu, or if you're a pure devotee on a higher platform, then you can do such things. But if you're not, then just let them be, Hearing the Leela of Jagai and Madhya, it doesn't mean that we're all meant to go and find the next drunkards on the street. And that makes you really merciful. That will make you foolish. So we have to have some, realistic assessment of what is our capacity. Where are we in devotion? And we can't even say we're in the Madhyam position. We're in the Kanishta position. So if the Madhyam Adhikar Vaishnava is advised to not, get involved, then what to speak of ourselves? We can say we are Kanishta, but we are trying to follow in the way of a Madhyam Adhikar Vaishnava. Something like that. And now this is the third verse here, which is describing the Kanishta Adhikar. 45, 46. Archayam eva haraye pujam ya shadaye hate natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhakta prakrita smrita. A prakrita bhakta, or materialistic devotee, does not purposefully study the Shastra and try to understand the actual standard of pure devotional service. Consequently, he does not show proper respect to advanced devotees. He may, however, follow the regulative principles learned from his spiritual master or from his family who worships the deity. He is to be considered on the material platform, although he is trying to advance in devotional service. Such a person is a bhakta prai, neophyte devotee, or bhakta boss, for he is a little enlightened by Vaishnava philosophy. So not really, this is related to what we were just discussing about following things in more of an external way, without appreciating the finer inner principles behind various rulings and practices. And they, there will be less appreciation. There may be, more appreciation for the deity than for the Vaishnava, for the devotees. Another way Srila Sridhar Maharaj has discussed it is that their social life, their daily lives, will not be so much influenced by their faith, by the teachings. That they kind of like go to church on Sunday, and then the rest of the week, you do what you like. So something like that. When we come to the temple, then we may be very, very focused and very engaged, but as soon as you go out, when you're not in that environment anymore, then it all starts to feel a bit far away. That is a symptom of a lower degree of faith. But when one's faith is more developed, then in whatever circumstance they're in, whatever environment they're in, uppermost will always be their faith in Guru and Gauranga. That will always be predominant within them. Or they may be very fixed on following scriptural rulings without really understanding the principles behind them, and they will not have such developed appreciation in the Vaishnava. Sarvamaha Gunagan, but it's also mentioned, that if such persons will faithfully follow, like worship of the deity or other practices, then they can advance, they can progress from that point. If what they are doing, they're doing with faith, then there will be some development there. I'll just read a little bit more. Oh, actually, maybe it's a good place to stop. I think it's a good place to stop, actually. Any comments, questions, anything?
Versatility for those that have been practicing for a long period of time. How to stay open and fresh to new and novel and different ways of practicing.
Different ways of practicing.
Well, as in just to stay open to other influences and embracing that versatility.
You mean like maintaining the vital characteristic that we were discussing? Well, association is always number one. If we can have the association of those who have that, that is the best. That is the absolute best. If we don't, then some inner introspection, some inner review. Gurudev used that word, the saltamami, making an account. And to see, our situation and try to see how can we try to give more energy in a vital way. How can I direct my energy? Because we have to be connected to the current. That's the thing. So that may require, in general, trying to give more attention to service life, more time, more energy to service life. Or if one is already deeply kind of immersed in service life, it will require some assessment of how one's energy could be somewhat redirected. Or or how trying, because the thing is, we're not alone in this. And this is what we tend to think sometimes. We start to feel like that, we're alone. The Lord is actually trying to approach us. The Lord's, in a subtle sense, the Lord and his agents, they are trying to approach us. So it's about trying to become more aware. Like say, if we take the example of some particular layer of ego that we have, say we have a controlling, we like to control everything, then there will be situations which are coming regularly, which are testing you and giving you the opportunity to leave that aside. So if we get to that point of really wanting to go deeper, then we have to reflect, what weaknesses do I have? Or what situations are repeatedly coming to me? What tests are repeatedly coming to me? Now, how can I keep my spiritual practice more dynamic? Because it's there in front of us. Sometimes we use the example of a kind of video game. That you have to progress to different levels. And in the level that you're in, there's different tests that you have to get through, different challenges, right? And once you complete those challenges, then you can move on to the next level. So in the same way, we're in a particular level, and it's not that it's all dead. It's not that it's a dead thing, it's a living thing. Krishna is there, and he is trying to help us. And so we have to become more alert and more reciprocative with those agents who are trying to help us, and to see what is on my plate, Or it may be that one is simply being, what's the word? Laid back? I'm trying to think of a better word. Inactive, yeah. It may be that someone is simply being inactive, and they need to dive in a bit more and do a bit more, give more. They're not giving enough energy, So it depends on what one's situation is. Because we see both things. We see persons who are just very distracted. And then we see persons who are very involved, but they're like kind of quite stuck in a particular approach. And I'm saying stuck, which is, a negative way of saying it. And in one sense it is, but in another sense, just to be able to continue and go on, that's not a light thing. That's also been pointed out by Gurudev and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Just to be able to continue, that means you have something very substantial. That's not something to be dismissed or taken lightly. That means, there's some genuine faith and devotion there. If someone's able to continue for an extended period of time. So, that's another point. Patience, perseverance, that is also an important element of our practicing life. We can't expect results immediately, or, even this lifetime. So, but at the same time, we want to be trying, and we want to be progressing. We want to be trying our utmost, and we want to make progress. So, if we can identify, how we can, because it's not just about doing, achieving so many tasks, but there needs to be some conscious development. And that conscious development, it will actually take place automatically through service if one is not resisting. If one is not resisting the various challenges that will come or tests that are coming, if one is determinedly holding on to a particular identity, then naturally the transformation will take place. So we may need to review ourselves to see if there's anything that we're particularly holding on to. This is what the 10th offense to the holy name is. To resist that current, to resist that flow. Would you like to sing? Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Jadavaya Namaha.
Jai Jai.
Jai Shri Hari Nam Jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Sriyukta Vishakha Didi ki
Jai.